Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi, and this is part of our ongoing educational series here on the Planeswalker Stronghold. Today we are going to talk about all of those evergreen keywords that you are likely to see in each and every Magic the Gathering set, whether it's on Arena or in paper. But before we get into all that, we here at the Stronghold are officially on the road to 1,000 subs. And guess what? When we get there, we're going to give away an account. So if you're part of the 2/3 of viewers that routinely watch my content but haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and get in, player, because we're going to be doing some magic. Now, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, right. Now, before we get into the individual keywords that you're going to want to know, I wanted to take just a moment to talk about the variety that we see within keywords and color combinations. For instance, primary keyword use within a color designates that it will show up in the highest volume and usually at the lowest rarities. It also tends to be a color that most often pushes the power level of an individual keyword. Secondary colors is an ability shows up on a somewhat regular basis, but not always in as low a rarity as the primaries. Sometimes a secondary color will have additional restrictions. And finally, we have tertiary color keyword usage. This is the color that gets the ability only occasionally. For some abilities, it may be years before R&D uses the keyword in a tertiary color. They often come with rules, and those are designed to further narrow the subset and make sure the mechanic is continuing to serve its purpose within a tertiary color.
Death Touch is a very powerful weapon in the hands of players, as it permits them to instantly eliminate any creature they come across. Even the smallest amount of damage caused by it can spell doom for the creature. It has, however, no effect on planeswalkers or players. Death Touch provides players with a great way to control the battlefield and gain an advantage over their opponents. By understanding how to use this keyword effectively, players can gain an edge over their opponents and take control of the game. It can be used in both aggressive and defensive strategies, allowing for creative playstyles that can surprise your opponents.
Creatures with Defender can't attack. At first, the keyword was intended to be a substitute for Wall's cumbersome creature type. With that, Walls were unable to attack. Eventually, the cannot attack ability was keyworded and all Walls were given the Defender card type for gameplay consistency. All colors can have Defender. It often seen in white as it is the most defensive color. More recently, blue has seen more use of Defender. While most defenders are toughness oriented, blue defenders with higher power stats that can attack in certain contexts have become more common.
Creatures with first strike deal all of their combat damage before creatures without first strike or double strike. Creatures with double strike deal their combat damage twice. When you reach the combat damage step, check to see if any attacking or blocking creatures have first strike or double strike. If so, an extra combat damage step is created just for them. When you reach the combat damage step, check to see if any attacking or blocking creatures have first strike or double strike. If so, an extra combat damage step is created just for them. Only creatures with first strike and double strike get to deal combat damage during this step. After that, the normal combat damage step happens. All other attacking and blocking creatures that survived, as well as the ones with double strike, deal combat damage during this second step.
A spell with Flash can be cast anytime you could cast an instant. Flash can be used in any portion of the color pie, but is most often found in blue.
A creature with flying can be blocked only by creatures with flying or reach. Flying creatures on Magic cards mostly come in blue and white varieties, with fewer appearing in black and red. Green is not typically associated with flying creatures, but has the best tools for dealing with them. There are a number of creature types that almost always have flying, such as angels, birds, sphinxes, dragons, and griffins, each of these generally being creatures with wings. Reach is a key ability amongst green creatures and is also making more appearances in red. White occasionally has archers with this capability. A creature with reach can block other kinds of creatures, including those with flying, and can be blocked by creatures with or without flying.
Creatures with haste don't have the same cannot attack rule that usually applies to summoned creatures. Haste eliminates that restriction, allowing a creature to attack as soon as it comes into your control, regardless of when that happened. Not only are activated abilities instantly accessible within their mana cost, but also no other combat limitations will be affected. For instance, a defender creature still won't be able to attack.
Hexproof prevents a permanent or player from being the target of spells or abilities an opponent controls. Protection represents a magical resistance to certain types of magic, often a specific color. It was introduced in Alpha and saw frequent use through Magic Origins. It's primarily a white. It can show up in other colors, usually with protection from something the color dislikes. Protection is commonly misunderstood as complete exemption from permanence and effects created by cards, with the specified quality. However, protection is defined by a relatively narrow set of rules, which are often communicated using the mnemonic acronym DET. The permanent or player with protection cannot be damaged by sources with the specified quality. All such damage is prevented. Enchanted, equipped, or fortified by permanents with the specified quality. Blocked by creatures with the specified quality. Targeted by spells with the specified quality, or by abilities from sources of that quality. The current shorthand for protection largely reflects this. This object can't be blocked, targeted, dealt damage, enchanted, or equipped by any quality from which it is protected.
An indestructible permanent can't be destroyed by damage or by effects that say destroy, but it can still be put into the graveyard for other reasons such as an effect that reduces its toughness to 0. A player may also be compelled or choose to sacrifice a creature with the indestructible keyword.
When a lifelink creature you control deals damage, you simultaneously gain that much life. The ability is primary in both white and black. White and black have very different flavor approaches for the abilities, but both are found in almost every set.
A creature with menace can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Menace was introduced in Magic Origins to replace Intimidate, which had turned out to be too swingy. Its strength varied too heavily based on the colors of the opponent's deck. The Menace mechanic had existed since Goblin War Drums from Fallen Empires and used to be primary in black and secondary in red. Nowadays Menace is primary in both black and red. There's been some talk that a third color should be secondary or tertiary.
A creature with Menace can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Menace was introduced in Magic Origins to replace Intimidate, which had turned out to be too swingy. Its strength varied too heavily based on the colors of the opponent's deck. The Menace mechanic had existed since Goblin War Drums from Fallen Empires and used to be primary in black and secondary in red. Nowadays Menace is primary in both black and red. There's been some talk that a third color should be secondary or tertiary.
Trample allows a creature to deal excess combat damage to the player it's attacking, even if the creature is blocked. If you're attacking with a creature that has trample and it is blocked, you have to assign its combat damage to the creatures blocking it first. If it destroys all of those creatures, then you can assign any excess damage to the player it's attacking. If an attacking creature with trample is blocked, but there are no creatures blocking it when damage is assigned, for example, if you used a spell to destroy the blocking creature, then all of its damage is assigned to the player it's attacking. Trample does not work on planeswalkers, unless the creature has trample over planeswalkers.
A creature with Vigilance doesn't tap to attack. Vigilance doesn't allow a tapped creature or a creature that entered the battlefield this turn to attack. Vigilance was known as the Serra ability after Serra Angel and has existed in the game since Alpha. Vigilance exists primary on white cards and secondary on green and blue. Creatures with Vigilance generally are depicted as guards. White tends to get this on creatures where the power is equal to or less than the toughness, and seldom with a power greater than 3. Green tends to get this ability on larger creatures to differentiate it from white.
Whenever a permanent with ward becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, it is countered unless that player pays an additional cost. The most common form are costing additional mana, often found in the white, blue, and green portions of the color pie. The second, a payment of life, is often found in the red and black portions of the color pie. Taking both defensive measures can protect your creature in different ways, while also providing your opponents with contrasting options on when to decide to interact with the warded creature. Any spell or ability controlled by an opponent can be affected by ward. This covers aura spells, triggered effects, and any other ability that would target a permanent with the ward mechanic. Spells and abilities that don't have a target won't activate wards.
And as I said at the beginning of the video, this is part of an ongoing educational series, so while you're considering subscribing to the channel, be sure to check out this playlist for all of your needs to help you get better at Magic the Gathering on and off Arena. And folks, before you go, make sure you've subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on a thing. Because I know I can't change the Magic economy all by myself, but I think we can.